Chapter 16, The Underworld. Begin all acts and thinking by using El Kaloum the All. Tablet 4, The Inhabitants of the Underworld. 19 times 13 equals 247. Lo. When the place that you are living on called Earth was young, it was visited by a race of beings who came from another solar system. These beings are referred to as the Elder Gods, who, with their advances in science and knowledge of DNA and RNA manipulation, the original cloned after Adam were able to live for hundreds of years. They discovered the secrets of living death, and how death is an illness in humans and can be cured, if not prolonged at their weakest point, to not less than 120 years. These elder beings were the Shayuk, or the Riskians, from a planet called Risk in the 19th galaxy Ilion. I am one such being sent to you. We Riskians, before settling here, lived in Arcturus Pleiades, Clarion, in the Orion star constellation. We constructed bases for laboratories on Mars and the Moon, for the cloning and breeding of Adama Earthlings. We left some of our hybrids who made their residence within Shambhala. They were called the Danakiel. Many stayed, others branched off into tribes and moved nearer the surface and set up their caverns, and even others went to the surface and mixed with surface beings and became the Dongalawe and the Danakil. Early human beings that existed on Earth at the time considered them as gods. When the Riskians came here, some went beneath the earth and built a large computer, a mechanical device called mech, from where you get the word Macintosh. The original name was Al-Hisabat. The Disagreeable also built a large computer and called it simply HAL, their Earth name IBM. With these machines, they could scan the surface, pick up on scenes from all over the world, and televise them. They could project both 4- and 3-dimensional images, hologramic pictures and star maps, kill and destroy at will by simply flicking switches, alter the weather, create rain, hail, snow and earthquakes, create tidal waves, volcanoes, hurricanes and viruses, extract thoughts from another person's mind, or implant thought into it. They were able to stimulate any emotion and cure various diseases. They also had mech, which could be used to make clothing, food and other articles. Over a period of time, the inner sun started throwing off radioactive particles which polluted the air breathed into the lungs and accumulated in food and water, causing a shortening of their lifespan by increasing the aging process and causing other effects. The elders, trying to escape, bored underground, hollowing out artificially or modifying already existing natural caverns. With a device similar to a laser beam, they proceeded to build larger cities within the tunnels, connecting them 4 to 20 miles beneath the surface. Many relocated to other planets, while yet some stayed here in their newly carved out caverns and took some of their Hasaba computers. The same applied for the malevolent beings, who relocated and became known as the Halabal Flugelroids, with their massive machines called mech, also called HAL. One of the agreeable elders wanted to make the devices available to the surface dwellers. However, the other group of disagreeable didn't agree, because the surface dwellers were unskilled and were not able to use them correctly. While the agreeable elders said simply, let's teach them, send people who they can call scientists, telepathically implant information, and they will get the credit of invention. This higher knowledge will prevent them from destroying the planet in which we also dwell. There was an argument between the two groups, and it was decided, lock it away in a cavern in the earth, so that the surface dwellers couldn't get them. Because of the population problem, their elder race was not able to take all of their own race. The ones who were left behind began to disintegrate due to the radioactivity of the sun, and after centuries had passed, because of the radioactivity and the unskilled use of massive computers, a large amount of the brains of the other beings that were in the inner world produced a form of hereditary insanity. This group of insane cave dwellers were called the Sumunin, or Samin, Abandoners, or as you know them, the Deros. They are a combination of the words detrimental and robots. The Sumunin really exist. They are born by hatching from eggs that are 4 to 6 feet in diameter. They grow to 7 feet and are extremely obese. The Sumunin Deros, who live in the caves, are degenerated so much in intelligence. They have 2 stomachs, and their digestive system is the same as that of a cow. Deros and cows both chew the cud, meaning when cows eat, they chew their own food, and it goes through the initial stages of digestion, where it reaches a large sac that is before the true stomach. The food is then regurgitated to the mouth for further chewing. This is called chewing the cud. Many people today who are obese are descendants of these Deros. I'm talking about those people who have serious weight problems, weighing over 300 pounds or more, which is not a trait of the elders, the Riskians. The Deros have no fingernails, toenails, nipples, navel or a rectum. Their eyes are silvery grey and glows in the dark. They have blonde eyebrows. Other than that, there's no hair on the body, in a disease called trichotillomania, and they are responsible for trichinosis and trichiasis disease. They have a pinkish greyish colour skin, much like a pig or a souse, having not been exposed to the inner or outer sun. They have no teeth. Their mouth appears to be full of a gummy slimy substance. They are nocturnal and hear extremely well. They are not very peaceful and have a strong dislike for your race of human beings. They are very human in appearance, yet far from it. Their noses are long trunk-like, which is very similar to that of an elephant. They contend that the planet Earth was theirs and will be theirs again one day. There is another group called the Sunanins, or the Sinians, or as you know them, the Teros. The Sumanin Deros were for the disagreeable people, and the Sunanins Teros were for the agreeable people. The Teros, which is short from integrative or constructive, are a subsurface or constructive race that usually keep the Deros in check. The Teros, that have an abundance of pigmentation in their skin, are descendants of their elder gods from the planet Jomon and the star Arcturus in the Boots constellation, also called Ploughman Herdsman. Boots is shaped like a kite, and the Arcturus is the Boots constellation, the red giant fourth brightest star in the heaven, where much mixing did take place. They have 48 chromosomes, and when bred with certain humans, caused a defect of 47 chromosomes, producing what is commonly called Down syndrome, as found in all the races of the surface people, for the Teros are a mixed race. Down syndrome is a disorder caused by chromosomal abnormalities that develop during germ cell formation. The Teros's chromosomal structure is so much different than that of Earthlings that the mixture caused the disorder. Depending on the gene involved, the child may exhibit the full syndrome or show few or no effects. Chromosome 21 is the small human chromosome with no more than 1,500 genes. But the genes are of great interest for the being involved in conditions ranging from cancer to Alzheimer's disease to vision problems. 1 out of every 800 children born on Earth have this trait. Because of the Terosome planet's atmosphere, their children are usually born with breathing defects as well as congenital heart disease. Being that the food of the Teros is different than that of the Earthlings, these children have poor digestive systems and their immune system is unable to function properly, and they lean towards leukemia. Because they bored further into the earth, they were able to keep their sanity, as well as because of crossbreeding. The Teros took on different forms, and others look so human they can come to the surface and not be noticed. The Teros that are lacking in pigmentation are the descendants from mixing with the flugel rods. There's also living beneath the surface of the planet Earth another group called the Dwanis, from which leprechauns, known also as gnomes or dwarf legends, have come. Their mixture with surface people produced dwarfism. A mixture with the Earthlings and the Dwani produced defective DNA. Thus the endocrine system produced an excess amount or hypersecretion, or an insufficient amount called hyposecretion of the hormones. The endocrine gland, also called the pituitary gland, is situated at the base of the human brain, and being the Dwani's brain is in the front of their head, this caused a problem. The pituitary is connected to the hypothalamus by a stalk and is comprised of anterior, intermediate and posterior lobes. The anterior lobe secretes 6 protein hormones, growth hormones, which promotes body growth, prolactin, which stimulates the production of milk, adrenocorticotrophin hormone, which stimulates the adrenal cortex, thyroid stimulating hormone, and 2 gonadotrophic hormones, follicle stimulating hormones, and a luteinizing hormone. The defect in these genes was caused by the collapse of their sun in Sirius and the release of a large amount of radiation, which damaged their glands, called glandular atrophy, and the defect in the enzymes that involved the hormone synthesis, which resulted in lower eye iodine and resulted in insufficient thyroid hormone. The hypothalamus and pituitary gland are closely related. They modulate the activity of the anterior portion of the pituitary through the release of inhibitor hormones, which travel through a portal venomous system of the anterior pituitary. These neurohormones regulate the release of hormones such as growth hormones, and its GH deficiency leads to growth retardation or dwarfism. Adrenocorticotrophin, HCTH, follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, prolactin, luteinizing hormone, LH, and thyroid stimulating hormone, TRH. These defects, caused by a mixture of alien blood with human blood, resulted in dwarfism as you know it today. Originally, the Dewanis came from Canis Major. They were the dwarfs of the star Sirius as opposed to the giant Shaggies, their oppressors. They shared the same planet, but they were agreeable beings who came to Earth many millions of years ago from the Sirius star constellation. The Deros are constantly in conflict with the Dewanis, who hold the same faith that they too will take over the planet one day. The Dewanis look like porcupines, meaning their hair sticks straight up. This abnormality in the endocrine gland resulted in their appearance, which is called hirsutism, the covering of the body with thick hair. They master surface information and study intensely, mastering all the finer things that the Earth's surface provides. They aspire to be like the elite of the human race, yet have no interest in coexisting with human beings on the surface who they see as killers without a purpose. They are like references on Earth, meaning they know everything that is happening on the surface of the Earth. There are caverns in the inner world that are occupied by extraterrestrials. This does not include Agartha. In the 1970s, 4 of the caverns were occupied and 2 of them were unoccupied. Today, there are over 20 caverns, some even occupied by surface people and hidden secret societies, such as the Illuminati Society, who are in cahoots with the disagreeable extraterrestrials and have meetings beneath the Antarctica, where various different species gather together to plot the overthrow and control of the surface. Today, there is air flowing in and out of the Earth. What you people tend to forget is that the Earth is hollow and has a sun 600 miles in diameter. Nothing is solid, not even the human body. Rocks, which appear solid, all have air pockets. The caverns were there naturally. Some of them have been hollowed out by beings. The caverns are very large. Believe it or not, there is a cavern connecting to Australia and through the Atlantic Ocean. This is why they don't have to come in contact with surface dwellers, which would be like you who live on the Earth. The humanoid type extraterrestrials are making shuttles to transport themselves from one place to the next. The ones that are humans have to travel in your time and space. They have to do things according to how time on Earth is governed. They have created what is called a star gateway, where they can step through and interdimensionally transport themselves. They are an advanced society by far, and have surpassed the people on the surface of the Earth in technology. They use power called blast electricity, whose source is from the compression of air and its connection with electricity. This ties in with the shifting of weights, which was the secret to the building of the pyramids. They also get their power from the energy grid that surrounds the planet Earth. A grid is a network of uniformly spaced horizontal and perpendicular lines, specifically ones used for locating points by means of a system of coordinates. This is one of the main reasons why extraterrestrials want your planet. The magnetic field is one of the most valuable assets on your planet because it has an endless amount of free energy. The poles of the grid were separated at distances from the north geometric pole, and this arrangement set up a series of geometric harmonics which were directly related to the speed of light, mass and gravity. The interaction of the two grids created a harmonic resonance, which in turn formed a third resonant grid. The theoretical position for the third grid poles in the southern hemisphere are as follows. Grid pole A equals latitude 72.4266 degrees longitude, 50 degrees west, 1054.4 minutes of the arc from the North Pole. Grid pole B equals latitude 78.4266 degrees longitude, 105 degrees west, 694.4 minutes of the arc from the North Pole resultant. Grid pole C equals latitude 75.6 degrees longitude, 97.5 degrees west, 664 minutes from the arc of the North Pole. The reciprocal positions will give a similar value for the southern hemisphere. A grid is an intelligent geometrical pattern into which the Earth grid is also known as the crystalline Earth. It is very ancient and has been utilized by a number of civilizations. The Earth and its energies are organized. The geometrical patterns of the Earth grid is energetic in nature. The Earth's energy is organized into a precise web, was once and can be again the source of a free and inexhaustible supply of power, once powering older civilizations of high technological achievement. Some say that the grid is an interactive workshop for the purposes of aligning humans with the planetary energies through the megalithic temple. Each grid is seen as a living hologram of the organization of the solar system, intricately linked with the life and destiny of human beings. Some of the significant features of the major grid intersections: Giza, the Great Pyramid; Tiaman Oilfield, USSR; Lake Baikal, USSR; many unique plants and animals; Hudson Bay, present location of the North Magnetic Pole; Northern British Isles, Mayer's How, Ring of Roger Callanish; Maheo Diorama Empire Culture, Zion Pyramids, which are the largest in the world; Southern Japan, Dragon's Triangle, Great Seismic Activity; Hamakulia, nearby lies Hawaii, scene of high volcanic and earthquake activity; the sophisticated canal civilization of Kibolia, Bimini, the site of a huge man-made walls underwater discovered in 1969 AD; the megalithic Axum, the Coptic Christian center in Ethiopia; Bangkok and Angkor Wat, Sarawak, Borneo; Pohnpei Island, Micronesia, site of the megalithic city on Nanmanol; Lima, Peru, boundary of the Nazca Plate Pisco; Gabon, West Africa; Zimbabwe with its ancient mines and structures; the Maralinga atomic test site; Easter Island and its megaliths; the Coral Castles, built by Ed Leedskalnin. The West Lobe is what pulled Florida down and opened the Keys area up. The East Lobe is the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle of Florida, when active, is a powerful diagmatic levitator. The center of the Earth is a special base controlled by benevolent beings called the Danakiel, whose original home is in Risk, which is located in the 19th galaxy called Ilion. They settled throughout the continent of Africa and became known what is today as the Dongala, or the Dongola tribe of northern Sudan, and spread as far down as northern Ethiopia, or Ether Utopia. Malevolent or negative beings are allowed to go into the cities, however, they live in the caverns. Thus, there are three main races on the planet. The Flugelrods and the Deros are related to the Karkasu, the Teros are related to the Orientals, and the Danakiel and the Duanis are related to the Nagaru in the form of Watusi and Pygmy. They bred with the Danakiel and the Duanis, of which the great master Imhotep, who was a little person, a product of his ancestors mixing with the original Pygmy. While they went into the caverns beneath the waterfalls during the meteorite shower that took place 2,250,000 years ago. This was at the end of the fourth sun cycle, when the Pygmies went and lived inside the great city of Shambhala. These Pygmies or dwarfs were also called the Zizan. The Ashanti tribe of Ghana, Africa, called them Mawetja, while the Watusi went inside the caves of Europa, named after their female deity, the daughter of Agana. There is a city within the inner earth called Rainbow City. Countless of millions of years ago, humanoid greys called Ramadians, created by the Riskians and then given their freedom, came to rule an empire of planets stretching over 100 galaxies. At some point in their conquests, the ancient humans encountered the race of reptilians who were to become their deadly enemy. The snake people and the ancients battled for thousands of years, with the advantage passing first to one side and then the other. However, it became clear the snake people had won. They chased the humanoid race from planet to planet, scattering the remnants of the humanoid empire to a few lonely worlds. One of them, Mars, known as the Red Planet, was for hundreds of generations of the ancients a hospitable home. However, as time passed, the ancients realized that Mars was dying, its oxygen and water were slowly evaporating into space. The great ruler of Mars sent a fleet of spaceships to Earth to investigate its potential as a new home. The scouting party returned full of praise for the planet Earth, especially the subtropic Antarctic continent, so the great ruler told several thousand of his subjects they were were to leave and prepare a way on the New World, they settled in the Antarctica and built 7 great cities there, modelled after the cities on Mars. Each had a distinctive colour and was called the Green City or the Blue City or the Red City. The greatest of all was Rainbow City. It was called this because it was constructed entirely of plastic and all colours of the rainbow. The Rainbow City sat deserted for 1,000,000 years. It alone of the 7 cities was free of ice, for hot springs beneath the city kept its surrounding valley at room temperature, encircled by a wall of ice, then 1,000 feet high. Rainbow City has remained hidden from Antarctic explorers to this day, since the technology of the ancients was infinitely superior to that of the surface dwellers. The city was found with all of its incredible machinery running as well as it had when the city was built 2.5 million years ago. However, many people don't know it. Plastic is a relatively new product to humans. Plastic was introduced to you no more than 50 years ago. It is one of the many things that was given to you by extraterrestrial beings. There are beings that direct the crafts into the planet Earth, and they go into the center of the Earth. There is a 15-mile long computer in the center of the Earth that has been reactivated in 1904 AD. This is why there is a hum in the Earth. There is a mountain called Shasta that leads to one of the caverns in the inner Earth. The mountain was named after a California tribe of Native Americans called the Shasta. The computer sends out signals to the craft coming in so they can come into the Earth without being detected. The crafts who don't pay attention to the signals usually get shot right out of the sky by humans. There are entrances all over this planet Earth. Many are found in caves well hidden and exists in as many places on the Earth as there are in the Earth. In order to enter these caverns, you must know where the entrances are, like the polar regions. These entrances will lead you to a whole different tropical environment in such places as Peru, Brazil, Guatemala, as well as Arizona, the North and South Poles, Africa, Germany, Egypt, the Himalayas and Montana. So what is hell to one is paradise to another. Shambhala and Agartha is as much as a reality as Egypt and Greece. The beings that inhabit Agartha are responsible for the climatic changes that are affecting the planet Earth and the inhabitants of it. As the planet Earth, known as Gaia, is beginning to defend herself against the destructive surface people, such things as nature germ warfare will take place, viruses will plague the Earth, massive earthquakes and landslides and floods. All these are signs of the times. It is important for the wise to return to nature and a natural way of life, respecting the system of things. Then and only then will the gates of heaven and the gates of Shambhala be opened for your re-entry, in acceptance to the great and ancient family of the deities. This is how it was recorded, and this is how it will be.